Had she heard this story?
No, of course not.
Oh.
John Myers.
Well,
Did you have her?
when she told me what her maiden name was, I asked her if she was any relation to Cy Fleming's. And one thing I remember about him, he used to always visit these construction sites down there. They were building roads and one thing and another, and siphon gas out of the. Howard was always after him for doing that, but he never stopped him. He had plenty of money as far as that's concerned. The family was pretty wealthy farmers, and he didn't want to buy gas, I guess. That's the first time I knew how a siphon worked. He showed me how.
Oh, he showed you how.
Yeah. He'd take a whole mouthful of that gas and spit it out, you know, and then it would run out the tube into his tank.
He didn't want to taste the gas, so he showed you.
Oh, I wouldn't do it at all, but he just showed me how he did it. I was with him when.
I see. I thought maybe you probably had to use that somewhere along in the military.
No.
When you were a Marine.
Not that I know of. I use it here on this spigot out here. I used to take a hose and put it across the road to those trees and flowers over there. Well, I didn't suck the water. I filled the hose and held it, and then took it over there and turned it loose. And then
Yeah.
I always thought of Cy when I did it, though. I gotta put that in my book. Things I like to recall.
That you mean about Bess and Jack? You mean about Bess and Jack, or the
No,
siphoning?
About siphoning stuff.
Yeah. What else did you do on the farm with Howard and Ilo, right?
I did everything. I fed the pigs, I fed the geese, and the chickens, gathered the eggs. One thing I remember when I was real young, and they had a building there, and they called it a summer kitchen.
Yes.
And it had a loft in it, and there was an old hen that was sitting on eggs, you know.
Yes.
And I wanted to see them eggs hatch, so I took her up in that loft up there and set her up there, and then I put a bushel basket over, and so when the eggs began to pip, you know, I'd go up and thought I'd go up and get the chickens. They took me home. I forgot about it, and she died.
Yeah.
Was starved to death.
Oh, sure.
And there was such an odor there that Howard put his World War I gas mask on and went up and got the hen. I always had a guilty conscience about that, but it happened. So.
Yeah.
But I never forgot it.
How old were you when that happened, do you think?
I was under 10.
Okay.
Yeah. Didn't know any better.
Right. You were experimenting around.
Even at then, she used to let me go over to. Across the road was a woods, and through that woods there was a big creek called Black Creek, and I don't know whether nobody. I never saw anybody fish in it, but I knew where there was some holes in it, and I'd go in there and I'd get those bullhead catfish about that long, the biggest I ever caught. And she limited me to 12. She wouldn't let me catch any more than 12. That was what we used for the meal, and she let me go over there by myself. And one day I was over there, and there was a baby owl on the ground in the underbrush and so forth, and a rattlesnake there. And I didn't know anything about a rattlesnake at that time. I was too young, and I wanted that owl. And she heard that rattlesnake, and she come running over there with a hoe. She chopped that snake to burgers, you know. And And then she give me a spanking for, and that was the second rattlesnake I saw on that farm. One was in the outhouse,
Oh.
just a small one,
Uh-huh.
and that note across there must have been the mama, because it was a big one.
That's what I
Well,
said.
it would have gotten that owl.
No, I think that's what it was after, or probably it did to get it. It probably couldn't kill it.
Oh, yeah.
But, you know, a big snake like that, what they do is open their mouth, then back here where the hinge is, they open it too, and they swallow the thing. It's way
Right.
Yeah, they
bigger
do
than they
swallow
are.
big things.
Right.
Big things.
Well, I think that's what was happening there. I think that owl fell out of the nest, and,
Sure.
I'm gonna
and
kill
this
it.
snake was going to devour it.
And what happened, did you say?
Huh?
I forgot. How did you do it? What'd you do with the snake?
She chopped it up with a hoe.
Oh, she did.
Ilo did.
Oh,
Yeah.
Ilo did.
I said she made snake burger out of it.
Oh, gosh.
Not literally.
Not literally, no.
You actually didn't eat it, did you?
Oh no,
No.
No.
I just said that because that's what she did. She chopped it up.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
One other thing that happened to me when I got older out there,
Let Dar take your picture now.
That's
Howard,
okay.
So you-
Howard bought
He
a,
got me playing the guitar.
Howard bought a sow pig, an adult sow pig
Uh-huh.
from a neighbor. His name was Argo, and so that's what he called the old sow, Argo. And that was the ornerest dang sow I've ever seen. They concocted an electric fence to keep her in, and what she'd do is she would back up and just scream to the top of her voice. She knew what she was going to do. She was going to get shocked, and she'd run and bust right through that fence.
Oh, yeah.
It was just single wire. See?
Yes.
And then you couldn't get her in. And she was a good one. She had more little pigs than you can shake a stick at. And but this time she got out in the wintertime, cold as could be. And they sent me out to get her in. And I was playing baseball at the time. I was getting up and I think I was probably in high school. And I could throw like a bullet. And I couldn't get Argo to go in because she wouldn't go across where that electric fence was. She thought it was still up there. I picked up a frozen corn cob there, and I threw it with all my might, and it hit her right there behind the ear. Down she went, killed her dead at her mackerel.
Right.
No.
So I went in and told Howard what I'd done. Well, he came home from town. I told him what I'd done. He said, "I'm glad you did. I'm tired of fooling with that old bitch." And he had, Isla was all ready. She had hot water and everything, and they butchered her right there.
Sure.
And I thought I'd really catch heck about it, but I got a compliment.
Uh-huh.
Oh, dear, oh, dear, oh, dear.
I stopped Argo.
Maybe that's why Argo sold Argo.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, I had a lot of adventures on that farm. After I got 6 years old, when I was under 6 years old, they would not let me do anything. I was never out of the damn yard at home, never went any place or nothing else. After I was 6 years old, they let me do any damn thing I wanted to do. The rest of my life that I stayed there, I left when I was
They're
18.
probably just giving up, you know.
Huh?
They probably just gave up. Couldn't do.
No,
Couldn't do.
I
Keep
don't
track
know
of it.
what happened, but I think maybe they trusted me.
Lived out in the woods most of the time, you know, along the river, camping out. Yep.
I was a pretty good sized boy, and in the neighborhood there, 2 blocks away, was a grain elevator. It was exactly 100 feet high. and they had a window out in the basement. They had an elevator in them, but they had a ladder that went clear up to the top. And us kids, we went into the basement and we went up high there in that 100 thing, you know, we could see way out. And they had a roof up there that had a ventilator on that you could open up. And of course I had to show off, so I got out on this board like that. And now if I'd have slipped off of this part here, down I would have went 100 feet.
Yes, you would have.
But I get up there and I had a hell of a balance, and I ran from one end of that thing to the other. I ran.
Dumb.
I looked down at
Stupid.
the town down there. The whole damn neighborhood was out. I got home, man. The old man had a peach sprout, and he really lashed me. My uncle made him stop, but I guess I deserved it.
Yeah, really.
Huh.
My uncle made him stop because he threatened to leave home if he whipped me anymore.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, that's pretty.
Which uncle was that?
My Uncle Joe.
Okay.
There were three of them. Joe
He
and
was,
Howard that he talks about. And then Joe and
Walter.
Walter. Walter lived up in Michigan, though we didn't know except they'd come to visit. But Joe and Wanda, his wife, we were real close to them.
They all looked like something that was cut out of the Strength and Health magazine when they were young, and they could whip anybody in the country, and they taught me everything that I knew about boxing or horses or, well, everything. And Uncle Howard was when I got older, he moved belonged to the American Legion over in Rockford, and of course he always frequented the bar uptown. And he had an awful reputation when it come to fighting, you know, and it was kind of like the Old West. Everybody wanted to whip Howard, and nobody could. And this guy in the bar room up there, he told me, he said, "Don't you ever pick a fight with your Uncle Howard." He said, that SOB can hit you 6 times while you're falling.
He is a nice guy, though. I always liked Howard. And Joe was, too, as far as that goes.
My Uncle Walter was quite a guy. He was a great cook. Liked Carm cooking, too. And he liked Carm's lemon pie.
Well, that I remember especially. I don't remember so much other, but he said his wife didn't make
Well, you
lemon
don't
pie like
remember,
I
I
did.
do.
Yeah.
But he took a job on the railroad, a traveling railroad crew. They had cars with bunks, and they had a kitchen and everything. He did all the cooking, so he traveled all over the United States from St. Louis to the East Coast. That railroad was named New York, Chicago, and St. Louis Railroad. And so somehow he met this woman that he married that finally settled down in one place. And
Is that how they got to Michigan then, with the railroad?
they got one.
Did they got to Michigan with the railroad?
How come they got up there?
Yeah, they got it. It had spurs almost all over the eastern part of the United States. It came through our town too, and that's what they called it. Although you know, it went to Indiana. It went to lower Michigan, not upper Michigan, and New York, and
Where did he
the
meet?
one that come through our place, the spur that went through our place was really essential to the country there. I said, "Hey, that's where they shipped all the grain out." Even the Toledo newspapers came down on daily newspapers came down in the evening, and so. Carm and me, when I was Carm and me, my grandmother and me, was she had a daughter that lived in Ada, Ohio, and that was about, I suppose, what was Ada? Did you remember?
Ada?
Anyhow,
I don't know.
the railroad was a block away, so it played a big part in my life, you know. But they had passenger trains, and we'd just walk over to the station and get on that train and go to Ada, you know. And in those days, the conductor was very friendly. Everybody was friendly as far as I was concerned. He always had an all-day sucker for me, you know, and he'd come back and kid me and everything. I never forgot that. And get back on, come home, and leave us off a block from home.
Now this was your grandma went to see her.
Fanny.
I went to see Fanny.
Fanny and Earl.
Oh yeah, Fanny and Earl. Well,
they
Fanny was their
was
their daughter. Fanny was one of the girls, like Ivy's sister.
They lived over there till he went to Fort Wayne and got
Fort
that
Wayne.
job of
I see.
streetcar conductor.
Yeah, Fanny lived in Fort Wayne.
They moved right in the middle of a black settlement. They were the only white people there, and we played with the colored kids. They ate at each other's house.
Wow.
Yeah, they just treated each other just like
they grew
like
up
they
there.
would more today, you know.
At their funerals, there was, 10 times as many black people there as there was white, and everybody loved their Aunt Fanny.
Yeah.
So I went over there after we moved there, and I drove down to see my Aunt Fanny. And I was knocking on the door, and I heard a guy behind me, and he says, do you know Aunt Fanny? I turned around. That black guy had arms as big as my legs, and so I told him yes, she was my aunt. Well, he says, we pretty well take care of Aunt Fanny. He said.
Earl was gone. Earl was gone then, you know. Kids were gone.
They had one girl there that was an artist. I mean, she did things that I'd never seen before. She would take Crayolas on a flat piece of cloth, paint a picture with it, and it was just beautiful. Then she'd lay another one across that thing and iron it, you know. And there you had the prettiest picture on a stiff piece of cloth. And she wanted to go to the other side of Fort Wayne to see somebody, I don't know, some of her relation or friends or something, but she didn't have any money, and I didn't have any money. But I knew my Uncle Earl would let me ride any place I went. So her and I went down to where Uncle Earl went past with and made a stop with these electric streetcars. In those days, they had that cable run up in the air, and they had a thing that run up to it, and they even had an interurban that run between towns there at that time. We got on Uncle Earl's streetcar and went over and visited her people, and came home. And that night, her dad come over. Man, he took me by the shirt front, and don't you ever do that again.
Earl said?
Huh?
Earl said?
No, her dad.
Oh, I thought, who are you going over with?
A black girl in the neighborhood.
Oh, okay, all right.
Same age as I was.
Oh.
We were in love at the time. No, I'm just kidding. But I didn't realize why he didn't want me to travel away from home with that black girl and give her a bad reputation. So.
Oh yeah.
So.
So that was the reason.
I never did it again.